is not part of my speech. I'm going to discuss with you today assertiveness. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, and thank you, fellow Toastmasters, for this opportunity to describe what I've learned over a period of time in a series of incidents about assertiveness. But let me first start out with a small anecdote. Many, many years ago, I went to a presentation much like this, and the speaker got up in front of the group, and he asked one of the members to be a volunteer in the group, and he asked this volunteer to insert this straw in this potato. Has anybody seen this trick before? Asked him to insert the straw in the potato. At that time, this is a long time ago, we had paper straws, so it was particularly difficult. And that hapless volunteer began trying to drill this straw in this potato. And the speaker at that point said, "Great, you keep working on that, I'll come back to you in a minute." Okay? So I'm going to put this down, I'll come back to this topic in a minute. Let me get back to my topic of interest here, of my speech. I'm going to talk about assertiveness. I'm going to describe what it is, I'm going to describe why it's important, and how to do it. First, let me mention a couple of quotes here. Dorland's Medical Dictionary defines assertiveness as a form of behavior characterized by a confident declaration or affirmation of a statement without the need of proof. One point that is noted is that assertiveness is both verbal and nonverbal. This will come up later when we talk about the how. Okay? Another definition of assertiveness is the Mayo Clinic's website has a note that says, being assertive is a core communication skill. When I read that, I thought, aha, this is definitely Toastmaster material. Being assertive means that you express yourself effectively and stand up for your point of view while respecting the rights and beliefs of others. Key point there. Okay? Leadership equals assertiveness. Leadership leads to assertiveness. Assertiveness leads to leadership. They're very closely entwined. As a matter of fact, in my research on this, I came across many references to the leadership demonstrated in the Star Trek series, in both of them. And they made many references to Captain Kirk and Captain Picard and how they used assertiveness on the bridge of the Enterprise to demonstrate leadership. Okay? Well, I want to talk about what's not assertiveness either, because that's just as important. Assertiveness is not anger, it's not confrontation, it's not disrespect or failure to consider the perspectives of the other parties, the other sides. So remember, assertiveness is a way of communicating. It's not an emotional outlet. What are the risks of assertiveness? Well, one of the key risks is, of course, being wrong. Suppose you're very assertive and wrong, right? I have a personal experience with that. When I was in high school, one summer I went off to a summer camp, and during that 1 week summer camp, in the evenings, the campers all got together and had a little pickup game of football. And when the quarterback on my team was looking for a center, the person who hikes the ball to the quarterback, he asked for volunteers, and 2 of us volunteered. He said, well, okay, well, let's do a little test. And he asked the other volunteer to hike the ball. And he kind of put it between his legs, and he hiked it back there, and it kind of dribbled back there. And the quarterback says, okay, let's try you. And he pointed to me. So I said, oh, I can learn from that. So I got back there, and with much assertiveness, I hiked the ball right to that quarterback. He got it. He looked at the rest of his team and says, I think we found our center. That's where assertiveness worked. But the risks of assertiveness is that I did not realize that the center also has to stop the oncoming rusher after the quarterback. I got to travel every time. You want to consider when you're assertive as well. Now, why is it important? It's important for many reasons. One is that it helps boost your own self-respect and your self-esteem. It helps others respect you when you're assertive. Another reason, this is a little more metaphysical, but it's probably more important to me, and that is that it encourages you to seize the moment, to recognize that any moment that you're up speaking in front of a person or a group of people like yourselves, that if you're not assertive, you're wasting that moment. And when you look back over your life, how many moments have you just let go by? How many times have you just said, whatever, I'll go along with it, If you say it's right, I'll go with you, and then regretted it later, these are lost moments in many regards. Sometimes it's the right approach, the right tactic, but many, many times it's the easy way out, and you regret taking the easy way out. So don't waste those times, because later on in life you'll regret it. That's a good reason. Another reason is you may think that assertiveness is just acknowledging the impossible. But here's a quote from the Star Trek series. Captain Picard said, "Things are only impossible until they're not." Okay, so let's move on to how is it learned. We go back to the Mayo Clinic site. The Mayo Clinic has lots of points on this. I'm going to mention just a few of them. One is, first thing, assess your current style. If you're already assertive, if you're already over-aggressive, probably you don't need assertiveness training. You probably don't need to, you need to ratchet back on it a little bit. But you can still learn to be more aggressive if you have opportunities when you are saying no or saying yes when you shouldn't be. Particularly when people ask you to do something and you're just too afraid to say, no, I can't do that, I don't have enough time. Those are the times when you think about assertiveness and say, yes, I can say no here. So you practice it, right? Another key tool to use to practice assertiveness is use the I statement. I don't believe in that. I don't agree with this. But don't say, you are wrong. That's more aggressive. That's has the wrong approach. Also, one key thing is using your body language. Lean a little forward. Have a serious look on your face, but don't point. Pointing tends to have the wrong impact on people. Keep your emotions in check and start small. Be assertive with your dog or your cat first, and work up from there. Okay, so that's my story about assertiveness. Now let me get back to my first anecdote there. The story about the presenter who asked our poor volunteer how to insert the straw in there. And the answer was, he grabbed the straw, he grabbed the potato, he said, make it so. Thank you very much.